It's Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Nima. How are you doing today?
Fine. Cold. I was a bit restless at night. I'm feeling sleepy this morning. I'm good. I'm grateful to God. I'm going to confirm my relocation today. So I'm trying to move Sinosure to a bigger place. It's over 10 years of post-call years. So as a lawyer, you have to upgrade. Get a bigger library, a bigger space, and all of that. So we're trying to... I got to a few places, some bigger, some smaller than where I was before. So trying to do that today, sort it out today.
Good, good, good. How are you doing, Tokwe?
I'm very good. Had a great time at the party yesterday. The kids had fun. They did not want to go home. And I am excited about agriculture. I'm having conversations. Somehow yesterday, I didn't even plan. The person did not know. Somebody sent me a text message to ask the governor about, to appreciate the governor for the gift of the commissioner for agric, that she's been amazing. This guy is a farmer, and he was like, you need to tell the governor that he gifted us farmers in Lagos a good commissioner for agriculture. I didn't know that I was going to be, but it was just very timely. So really, we didn't get to tell the governor that the governor has an amazing selection of commissioners, and the women are they are like top-notch women. So really, I celebrate all the female commissioners, all the female social advisors, and all of them generally. But I'm especially singling out the female because they are really the commissioner for education too very good. You know, so it's so interesting to meet these commissioners, and you hear them talking, be like, wow. Good.
How are you doing, Mariam?
Yeah, I'm doing great. The holiday season is
gradually getting over.
Yes, because I've got my kids, my friends' children going back, and I just wonder how my children will cope, especially my daughter. She can be quite emotional. Yeah. But it's been a fantastic holiday, really. Yeah. I'm just looking forward to 2023.
I think so too.
And all the things we can achieve this year.
I'm not even thinking of 2023. I'm still trying to get past the holidays. Like, it's crazy. The kids are having so much fun. Their cousins are leaving this very soon, and they've blended so much. Everybody are paired up. You know, all the paired up with their cousins. The one that is similar ages, the one that is similar personalities, and they're just all just talking. And I'm just thinking, hey, very soon these people are going back to their country. But yeah, so we had a final party yesterday. The place next door. I just thought I'd just pop because the kids they had the bouncing castles. And then the kids come over. It was a nice evening yesterday, thanks to the entire team at Marshall Muse that did a very fantastic job. But I think, just like you said, seriousness is gradually creeping in. Yeah, by this time next week now, we are seriously, critically looking into what are we doing next year. Well, I mean, what are we doing this year? What are the big things we want to do? And let's start planning ahead. Our RCCG also announced the fasting. I want to eat everything I can eat. But that the Jews pronounce it.
Forgot that it's just another day. Another day continue. Me, I'm counting down to Ramadan already.
When is Ramadan?
78 days to Ramadan.
78 days to Ramadan.
Every year,
that's a long time
fast
now.
is already the year's end for me. So we're fasting.
Okay. Okay, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Okay, we're starting with The Nation. Letter, Obasanjo is jealous, frustrated, says presidency. 1/3 of the world may slip into recession this year, says IMF. Tinubu insists petrol subsidy must go. Funeral rites begin for Pele. 4 killed in gunman attack on Ohakim's convoy. Nigeria raises concern over rising COVID-19 cases in China. And police confirm transfer of men from the Ajah division. Okay, which story are we talking?
Okay, let's start with the major headline. So, the letter that former President Olusegun Obasanjo wrote has been gathering a lot of reactions. And some of people reacting to it is the presidency. From the presidency, they said that according to that the attack on the President Muhammadu Buhari and the endorsement of the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi was born out of jealousy and frustration. He said the former president is frustrated and that it's born out of jealousy. The Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, also described the endorsement of Peter Obi as an indictment and a stain on the People's Democratic Party's candidate, because he feels like Alhaji Atiku Abubakar should have been the one to get the endorsement. A chieftain of the APC, Dr. Segun Abraham, said that he doesn't see former President Obasanjo's endorsement as consequential, like it's not a big deal, he's not bothered. Many people are reacting. From the presidential campaign office of the APC, Mr. Dele Alake was described the cheated former President Obasanjo for what he described as false claim of mentorship. He also did not like, he said he does not support the conversation. Everybody is just reacting to
which he had endorsed, where he endorsed Peter Obi of the Labour Party.
Yes. So, and in that letter, he endorsed the Peter Obi and also critiqued the administration of Buhari.
Okay, let's take another story. Yes, go ahead.
The COVID story. So NCDC is saying that despite the surge in cases in China, that's COVID-19 cases in China, that they do not expect any rise in cases here in Nigeria. They also say that that some of the numbers we're seeing, that's because also this is like winter period, so a lot of respiratory illnesses that come around this period would affect the numbers. But they're also saying we're not dismissive of the possibility that we may have dangerous Omicron babies. I did not understand that. So I was wondering if it was a mistake, Omicron, but the fact that we currently have at hand do not suggest that we should expect any rise in cases or any rise in severe illnesses at the moment. And we are aware that, the federal government has relaxed a lot of the COVID restrictions. Even at the airports now, the pre- and post-COVID tests have also been relaxed.
So
okay, IMF.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the managing director of the IMF, yes, of the International Monetary Fund, Christina Georgieva, is warning the world that, she said a third of the global economy will face a recession this year. She's also saying that she has noted that economic activities in the US, the EU, and China are crawling simultaneously, and this, of course, will affect. She said that one third of the EU, half of the EU countries will be in recession this year. She blames it on COVID-19 rapidly spreading in China, which is also affecting economic activities there. She's also projected in the past that due to the Ukraine-Russia war, things will grow slowly. This projection agrees with that of Goldman Sachs on the multinational investment bank projections of economic growth to slow down by 1.8% in 2023. Right. All of them are just giving us things that are supposed to be worrisome, but I hope that these projections will help governments across the world sit up and maybe do some things that will spark.
All right, so Tinubu was in Saudi Arabia for Lesser Hajj, where he was speaking to Freedom Radio, with Kaduna Freedom Radio, and he was saying that subsidy indeed must go. The subsidy is anti-poor, and that it's just a waste of resources. According to him, one of the things he's going to do when he comes back is to remove subsidy, because according to him, the oil sector has been caged by subsidy and it must be unbundled. He says that he also mentioned that they will ensure that all the wastages and rechannel the money, they'll stop the wastages and rechannel the money to people that truly need this money. So this is something that I've said over and over again, but it's the courage to do it that Nigerians are expecting, because many administrators haven't been able to have the courage to remove it because of its effect on the poor.
A very short story on tax. The tax, FIRS has already created a new policy that takes effect from today that would allow individuals to get their tax clearance certificate from the Tax Pro Max platform. I think this is an amazing news. They said it's part of ease of doing business. It cuts out the middlemen, anybody trying to help you to get your tax clearance certificates out. This way, if you meet all the requirements right on the platform, you can print out your you can get your tax clearance certificates.
All lose jobs, though.
No, they won't lose. Bribes will be cut off. Those that have been living their entire lives on exploiting the systems will be cut off, and I think it is a good one.
Moving on now to the Punch. Anti-Buhari letter presidency Lambaso Basanjo says ex-president government corrupt. External reserves fell by $3.4 billion in 2022, says report. Power generation crashes by 990 megawatts. Gencos lose 1.8 trillion naira. Mobile subscriptions rise by 23 million, now 218 million. National Assembly budgets 850 million naira for failed constitution amendment, actually. Ajah DPO transferred as police redeploy cops, commend Punch. G5 governors adamant set for Wike campaign. Adeleke fumes as Oyetola insists tribunal will sack governor. Okay, which story?
Let me take the Lagos State Commissioner of Police has said that the transfer of all policemen attached to the Ajiwe Police Division in Ajah, and also the DPO at that station has also been changed, and they said all the shanties around the station have also been dismantled, and this would be done across all the other divisions within the state. And this is coming, after the very sad and unfortunate event, the killing of the lawyer by the police officer, and then also which led to the Punch doing like a covert investigation of that particular police station. Yesterday we didn't really get to talk about the news, but in the investigation, the investigation that they did, this reporter just went there and spent about an hour, and then he saw police officers just drinking alcohol. Some of them were so drunk. He said one even approached him, and he even thought that the policeman approached him to ask him why he was standing there. And instead, the man asked him for 200 naira. And he didn't have 200 naira, gave him 1,000 naira, went straight to the lady selling alcohol, had even more alcohol. I had a gun on him, and that so many of them, that some noticed them, and you could see that they were trying to hide, but they all ended up, a lot of them ended up just buying alcohol.
I think the PRO also, Hundeyi actually said that specific Ajah, they're having serious issues with that, so they plan to actually revamp the entire...
Because two people died.
Yes, the police and the crime in that area, they've almost been somewhat intertwined, so they're doing a lot of change.
A strong cause is intoxication.
Yes.
The sale of intoxication is allowed there. They do what, even in the military, they have a mess. In the evenings, they sit and allow a lot of rubbish happen in the evenings. Some have hangover in the mornings. Do it around all police stations. I'm saying it boldly here. You see how they relax in the evenings. And so that discipline is not there. And a proper overhaul on how they support themselves.
We have to go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. Another story, anybody?
Power generation. The Punch did a report, and this report shows that in 2022, power generation dropped from 6,336 megawatts to 5,346 megawatts. Also, the annual capacity payments to payment loss to power generation companies increased to 1.8 trillion, as the data showed that there was a decrease in average utilized power. So power distributed and the one the discos would send out dropped. And so, of course, the payment increased for loss difference. And this explains the poor power we've been having since before September in my area. Terrible power loss. So power is distributed, but they have they said they have this shortfall. They're sharing something, a breaker between about 3 or 4 communities, so they can only distribute a number of hours less of power. So maybe we get to see 6 or 3 hours of power a day, and then they distribute like that. So some of these issues are facility-based and amenities issues. I hope that the discos would also invest in all of these things that they need to distribute proper power. But the report carries an overall of all megawatts and how it's been dropping from 2013 that, they handed over, they privatized, and we've always been hovering between 4,000 megawatts to 7,700 megawatts since 2013. We've not been able to get beyond that. And even when it is finally generated, distribution is still a core issue. I wish the discos would invest in, you know, proper amenities for distribution.
Please don't take the story on the National Assembly and 850 million naira, which has been budgeted for constitutional amendment. And the way the Punch put it is failed constitutional amendment. And the reason I was first like, this headline is a bit wrong. Why would you say failed constitutional amendment? But it's because there's been a consistent failure of the constitutional amendments going through. All through this 10th Assembly, every year on year, about R1 billion is allocated towards constitutional amendments, and barely 11 states have actually signed it into law. So some activists are saying that this is it has become a ritual that lawmakers are using to embezzle funds without yielding results. And it wasn't originally in the proposed budget for 2023, but the National Assembly added 1.3 trillion and included that 850 million for another 1 year of trying to pass a constitutional amendment. And according to what we're seeing, they're saying between now and June 23rd, which is the end of this 10th Assembly, it is not possible for them to pass this constitutional amendment. So it shouldn't have even been in the budget in the first place, because if another administration comes into power, or by the time it's 11th Assembly, they would have to start the entire process afresh. And I think that we shouldn't be wasting money on something that we feel for the past successive years hasn't worked.
Yeah. Okay, so I was going to take the G5 update because the governor of Akwa Ibom State tried to have that one last meeting again with the G5 to see if he can convince them to sheath their swords concerning this matter of the PDP. But they're insisting that they're adamant, saying that unless there's a change in IU being the chairman, they're not going to waver on their decision. They are all planning to attend Governor Makinde's inauguration for his campaign on Thursday, and Governor of Akwa Ibom State was trying to see what he can do to stop, to at least get them to come down on their position, but they're insisting that they wouldn't do that. Moving on now to Daily Sun. Underage voters, parents risk arrest. Gunmen attack ex-governor Ohakim's convoy, kill 4 security aides. Fresh survey puts Obi ahead of Atiku and Tinubu. Wike turns Atiku, accuses ex-VP of frustrating zoning in PDP. No respite for motorists, consumers as fuel scarcity persists. Transport fare keeps rising. Cholera kills 8 in Ebonyi. Police in gun battle with hoodlums rescue 3 kidnapped victims in Delta. And Obi's endorsement, presidency accuses Obasanjo of always attacking Buhari out of frustration. And then Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs sets standards for elections. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Okay, let me start with the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs. So, the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs issued a communique after their meeting yesterday, where they set new standards. They said for the elections, they said the electorate must vote only candidates that will lead to justice, fairness, and righteousness, and also ask the federal government to ensure that the elections are free, fair, peaceful, credible polls, and they should involve a standard process that would ensure that elections of only eligible and suitable candidates go subsequently. They made, just as I said, the communique was signed by the Secretary General, Professor Isaac Oleyede, and the Director of Administration, Zubairu Haruna Usman Ugu. He said Nigerians should freely choose the best candidates and vote those who will lead with justice, fairness, and righteousness in line with our usual prayer. Oh Allah, make the best of our leaders and don't make the best of us our leaders, and don't make the worst of us our leaders. Don't make us, on account of our sins, be under those who will neither fear nor be compassionate to us, and that the federal government should ensure the elections are free and fair as well. I'm into that prayer, a very important prayer.
Okay.
Cholera outbreak in Ebonyi State, Akoha community of Afikpo North local government area. Said about 8 people have died from this, and no fewer than 10 persons are hospitalized in different medical facilities. The local government council chairman said stopped everything he was doing and went to the community to see about the issue, and he says that their state government is, doing everything that they can, to respond to this. I mean, this cholera story is something we took for the most of 2022, and I know that the NCDC and the government, try to give us different tips on how to sort of contain it. to stop the spread. But obviously, this is, in the report, it's even been described as a pandemic. So we have to really tighten our belts, medically on how to resolve this. They said children were even included in the dead. It's sad.
Let me take INEC. So Festus Okoye, he's the National Commissioner for Information and Voter Education, and he's continually reiterating INEC's preparedness for the election, saying that every underage voter will be arrested, including their parents. According to them, they're doing everything to flush out all the underage voters, and they've also spoken and summoned all the officers within the regions where underage voting is very rampant, and they've told them, and they said they would appear before a special panel of the commission, and they will that underage voting this time around will not be allowed. And secondly, he has said that they would ensure they print out, I think sometime mid-January, they'll print out all the list of the registered voters. So you can verify that indeed my name is there. So they have about 93.6 million registered voters right now, and they're going to print out the names so that all can see. So that by the time the elections come, every Nigerian knows for sure that these are the people who are going to the polls, and we can have a credible voting electorate for that period. Okay, let's move on now.
No, I have a story.
Yes.
Okay. Fuel scarcity has been consistent despite the festive season. Many Nigerians are lamenting. Daily Sun covered the story that there's no hope. He said early hopes of the current crisis within the fuel scarcity reducing is not happening. There are allegations that people that should be at the helms of affairs resolving our fuel crisis situation in Nigeria are busy trying to get voters and they are focusing on election as opposed to resolving this key issue. That's according to what I read in papers. Interviews of people mentioned that some people said that they've not had light for weeks because we've had power. It's in the papers that the grid collapsed, power went down, and some people didn't have power for weeks. They didn't have light all through Christmas and New Year, and they had to queue up. Some did the crossover at filling stations because they just couldn't go home without petrol. National Operation Controller of IPMAN, that's the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Mike did a telephone interview to explain why there is still fuel crisis across the country, and the conversation is the same we've been hearing since. It's not like there's anything new. So for me, it's seemingly supporting what the motorists and frustrated Nigerians are saying, that the people that should resolve this issue are focusing on elections as opposed to creating comfort for Nigerians.
Right. Okay, let's see. Vanguard, I think we're taking all the story in Vanguard. Let's move on quickly. There's no story that we have. Underage person is taking that story. Let's move on now to Nigerian Tribune. Obasanjo frustrated, talk jealous of Buhari. I think we took that story already. Terrorists killed 470, sacked dozens from farms in Katsina in the last 3 years, says maize farmers. 3 arrested over alleged attempt to kill policeman in Ogun. Ohakim's convoy attacked, 4 policemen killed. Labeling CBN governor terrorism sponsor, shameful, says Southern Middle Belt's leaders. And those buying PVCs are wasting their time, says INEC. Any story?
Yes, Katsina State, the chairman of the Maize Association of Nigeria was talking about the Anchors Borrowers program and how real farmers have benefited from, from this program. But he says that they still recorded low yield in 2022, and it's because they're faced with a series of problems such as insecurity, drought, and insect infestation. He said over 470 farmers have been killed in the last 3 years. Many of them have abandoned their farms because of these terrorists and relocated to cities in order to seek refuge. He says apart from the insecurity, there's been drought and insect infestation. This insecurity is a killer in many ways. Do you understand? I know that it's directly killing human beings, but in so many other ways, it cripples an economy, denies people of their livelihood. It is something that we look forward to, our elections, that we put as front burner for anyone that finally becomes the head of the president.
Let me quickly just take the 3 arrested over alleged attempts to kill a police officer. So the police, state police public PRO in Ogun State has said that they arrested 3 persons who tried to kill a police officer Akinpelu Sunday while he was carrying out his duty. So this police officer attached to the traffic section of Owode Egba received a report of an accident that happened at Orile Imo in Ogun State. And on his way to rescue victims, 3 other people attacked a police van with axe, beating him up, injured him along with the driver that drove him. And tried to pour petrol. They poured petrol on the van, but they didn't set it on fire before he went back and got reinforcement, and they were able to be arrested. Some people escaped. The Commissioner of Police has asked that those people who escaped be arrested. And I hope that they are arraigned and face the consequences of it.
Yeah. That's all we can take on Front Page Review. I heard that the former governor of Imo State almost got killed. Four of his police were attacked, and I'm really sorry to hear that. He didn't even know was attacked unawares, and but the Commissioner of Police wasn't reached, according to reports in Tribune, to confirm the story. But a really heart goes out to the families of those who lost their husbands and their family in doing this. Their soul rest in peace. Let's go on a break now. When we come back, move on to our hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. This is the first working day of the week in the new year, and there are lots of people. Some are still home, those of them in the economy that doesn't need too much attention. But there are others. The banks are open, for example, today. Many offices are open for business. What are your plans for the year? What are your thoughts as you start work today? What do you think should be in the front burner this year? Many of us have New Year resolutions. We have no idea what that means anymore because it keeps changing. But what are your thoughts? I mean, let's have a conversation on the new year. Your plans, what you feel you achieved last year, and what you'd like to see this year. For me, one of my very first New Year resolutions is to lose weight. Everybody, all of us have weight loss goals. My doctor said I need to lose 16 kg, and I've tried different times, but it just didn't work. But we'll keep trying. It's everybody's number one on everybody's number one on everybody's list this year. But let me start with the ladies. What are your thoughts? What are your plans this year? First working day, and also Lagos, living in Lagos, traffic. I'm not sure there was so much traffic today because most have traveled. It's on next week Monday, that we'll now start seeing traffic. But right now, people are still out of the country. But let me start with you, Mariam. How is it? What are your thoughts, plans for the year?
Yes. New Year resolutions. I know resolutions are sort of getting like a bad rap recently, like, this is just another day, just a continuation. But I think it's a good way to, remind yourself and just reset goals. I always like fresh starts, new beginnings, and to just have like a slate, a clear slate on, the things that you can do and achieve. But one of the things that I am looking forward to doing is just find different ways to be better versions of me. In fact, I themed my year 2023 as the year to elevate. So anything that, I'm already doing or doing well, I want to do even better. Those are my goals. One of the things, another thing that's also important to me is also improve my relationships. I want to be a better mother, wife, friend. I want to show up for people. And I'm also learning not to make very big or huge goals, set huge goals. I'm learning to take it tiny steps at a time. You mentioned your weight loss goals. And, sometimes we set this goal, I need to lose like 16 kg. And I was reading and someone says, imagine if you decided to lose 1 kg every week for 3 months. That's 12 kg in 12 months, So those are smaller, more achievable goals. But when you put like a 16 kg right before you, it just seems almost insurmountable. But if you were to put like a 2 kg every 2 weeks or everything, that is easier to achieve. So I'm also learning, and I'm going to be appreciating in 2023 these small, tiny, tangible steps that will lead to the big picture.
Nice. Takwe, it's the first working day of the year. I know you have big plans. You've told us you want to get into agriculture this year, but what are you hoping this year would look like for you?
So it's interesting. I am listening to her, and she was like, okay, like we should, for her, she's learning not to, we shouldn't do too big, and I'm totally on the opposite end of that, like bite more than you can chew, and trust God to help you chew it, you know, follow the process, dream big, you know. So basically for me, it's, I must, you know, there's this saying, strive for the sun. If you land at the moon, you did not go too far. So, but if you are striving for star and you don't go anywhere, you'll be like, okay, so there are two paradigms, and is to know which works for your personality. So for me, this year, I'm going big, and I feel like the world is, there's an expectation, and you know, you sent me a message. Once I say I'm into real estate, I'm like, yeah, a realtor, yeah, helping other people to sell. That's like the first thought, because they expect that anybody that wants to do this has to do it this way. And, or you are doing it in a small way. And for me, it is, you have to do it big so that other people can dream and believe it is possible. Because if nobody is doing this, then everybody will assume it cannot be done. So for me, that's my head, that you have to do something big so that people can look at you and say, if she can do it, I can do it. She has one head, I know her. I know where she was born. I know her father and mother. She did not, what does she have that I don't have? So for me this year, I want to push every boundary possible to me so that somebody can be inspired to say, I can do this as well, you know, basically. And all the good things about love, relationship, family, very, very important for me.
One of my first things I like to do this year is obey my director when she tells me to go on a break. So let me go on a break. I'll be right back.
I love that.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. All right, so we're still discussing the first working day of the year. I'd like to hear from our viewers also in the next 10 minutes. Call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-7694. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. Tell us about your first working day of the week, of the year, and what your plans are for this year. Nima, you're going to tell us yours.
Okay. So I don't do any special plans for New Year. It's always the continuation of the years anyway, so I don't have special plans. But my staff had all gone on a break and they'll be resuming today. You see my car, you know that all of them, they just went on a break. And so I'm hoping that everybody comes home and comes back to work in high spirit. Also, the reality of my neighborhood are setting. All the tankers are back. Yesterday, I flew to work and flew back home. Also, I drove to work. Most likely driving back. So the reality...
That's reality.
Yes, everybody had to go somewhere to do the holidays with family. But reality is that the problems that we left off last year...
Right back.
We just went for holiday. The problems did not leave. So if you come back, if you're on the Moshodi Road now, you see all the tankers all the way in Water Papa queuing up this morning. I was like, oh, Lagos,
You know,
the day is over.
That's something that's so interesting about Lagos. During the holidays, there are less people. But when you go to other places, that's when there are like more people. Everybody goes back to different parts of the country and everybody's excited.
I'm looking to restructure. I've been looking at restructuring the firm for a while now, doing things more. I've always worked remotely, but doing things more remotely now. And so we're going to have to let off and hire new people. That for me is something that I've been thinking quietly about. It's tough for me because I bond quickly with people, but you might just have to let go of something. So I'm doing that.
So happy to hear that.
I'm telling you, I was like,
and even my partner is hearing for the first time.
Anyways, but but I think let's talk about the fun parts of this new year. I mean, I don't know. I've not really, as I said, I'm still trying to get past all of this. I've not thought about next week. I've not thought about anything. All my clients, I want to remember them the best I can because honestly, I just want to be with my family. Maybe by Sunday, I'll start planning for the year and see what I
wish
can
I actually took out that kind of break. I've been in work mode all through.
Even through the break.
All through the break. Like, I am, during the break of this show now, I have been firing WhatsApp messages to my staff who I realized gave themselves break this week. Because I told them we have a promo. You can't go on break when we have a promo. Let us finish before you go on break. Only the finance said they thought that this week they will have break. And I was just trying to get myself like...
Yeah, I know.
Just calm down. But I think it's important to find balance. And it's easy for people to hear one part of, oh, you're working. There's something I read a caption on social media about, let's stop glorifying hustle. You know, let's stop making it look like, oh, I work really, really hard. And then make it look like, if you're somebody that is not working hard, is not working. The truth is, you're working really, really hard because you have not put structure in place. Your life is not balanced. You're supposed to work at work period and rest during rest period and go on break when there is need to go on break. And I haven't found that balance.
I was actually expecting, something I was expecting last year, it didn't come through. Something that I really needed. I followed up, did everything I was supposed to do. It didn't happen. In the background. It's what I have. Because I can't back myself. I have back I said, this is it. I would chill and enjoy my holidays and I have fun. So I was able to switch. Like I pushed that thing to 31st of December. And 31st, and I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm not even thinking about this.
Especially when you're doing something for sentiment. I had a contract throughout upper year and last year. And I had been going, and I just felt this thing they had to do better. Something has to. And then I found out that they were blaming me. I kept trying to, but you know, sometimes it seems like you don't know how to mind your business. And then I tried to control myself, you know. And so someone just called me and said, management is not happy with you. I was like, eh. And so management finally had a meeting. And they were like, we will have to take this thing down. We have to do that. I said, that's a great idea. And my husband was like, you didn't even try. I said, because I've felt that way for a long time. You know, I just have to back on this matter. You know, sometimes just let it go. Yeah. So if they miss you, they call you back, it's fine. If they don't,
it's okay.
Don't lose your worth because you're trying to make, you know, you can't convince people to see.
Yeah, I also wanted to, in response to Tokwe earlier when she was saying dream big and being on different sides of the fence. So I think there was a little, you didn't understand my point. So dream big, have the big dreams, want to do the big things, but whether we like it or not, to achieve the big things, to achieve whatever it is, there are steps to get there. And sometimes you may be sitting down looking at someone who is 10 years into what you're about to start, and you're feeling, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling like you can't do it yet, you're feeling like you're lacking in some things. It's because it takes steps. And sometimes the tiny steps to get there is fine. You don't have to start and have all the capital to start a business, start your big dream. You don't have to have all the influence and all the connections right now. Where you are right now, you can say, and that your big dream is right there waiting for you to come and achieve it. And the end of it will even be much bigger than you have anticipated. But just be consistent and take that one step at a time towards your dream.
Fantastic. So we're good. I mean, we wanted to just open up the phone lines, hopefully just for the next few minutes to get your own views on this also. What are your own plans? Especially those of you watching us from the offices. You're going to add something.
Yes. I wanted to talk about, funny enough, I had this conversation on my Money Monday yesterday, my training on social media, and there was something I mentioned that many people struggled with, building relationships. It's something it's always on my goal. It's a goal that I keep moving from one year to the next because it's a consistent journey, especially if it is not in your default nature to be like wonderful Nema that we have here. You know, you are the one, you're rallying force, checking on people, gathering people. If that's not your default nature, but you need to build people. And I said something. I said that I follow someone online and he did something and I called him. Now, why did you do this? And he said, I'm in a new city. I need to network in my new city. So he registered and joined Rotary Club. And it was a strategy to integrate. And he said, I need to grow my business. He's a coach. And his coaching was in Nigeria. His clients were Nigerians. Now he's in America. And he needed to meet people. The only way he could meet people was to go to where these people would be. So Rotary Club allowed him to integrate with Indians, like people from, a lot of Asian people were in that particular Rotary Club, and these are people that he would never have met on that level if you didn't join. So for some people watching right now, maybe you need to join WIMBIS or you need to join one other women organization. You need to integrate in a way that would help you build the right community, because those things you won't just wish it. Those are the little steps when I'm saying that you attend the meeting, you would register for the form, and then you meet friends and you connect and you build that relationship that probably serve you lifelong.
See, that joining of community, that is so important. So I did quite a few of that last year. Unfortunately, I was just not available for every community, but it really opens you up to a world where, if given your present circumstances, you would not meet some of these people or have some of these opportunities, but just having the same interest and then being in the same community, there are people who are willing to help you on your journey. Because they are at different level, different stages of that particular journey that you're on. There's just always someone you can talk to, someone who knows the right way to do something. There's a form that you need to get that you were not even aware that you had to get it, and someone would bring it up. So it's important. I think that's what social media has done, the positives, where we're able to all gather in these online communities and help each other. So may your 2023 community be the community that is positive, that will grow. It don't be the community where you sit there and dissect people's personal lives and call them out and, gossip all about things. Focus so much on your own growth this time, and all the people that can help you in that growth. Form a community with them and see what,
just because the way me and wired is different. Don't lose your immediate community for an online community, a bigger one. Yeah. Some people think, until I'm in the Rotary Club, I don't have a community, whereas you are in a community, you just don't understand, you don't value an immediate one. So everybody around you is not in your life by mistake. Whether they're there to either pull you, whatever they do, negative or positive, it is for your growth. There's always good in that. So with that, let me just say thank you. Because I went through a lot last year I couldn't even talk about. Yes. I went through, in fact, I'm still dealing with something I'm, constantly praying about last year, and it's within family. And I tested my community I grew up with. I called on old friends. I called, and they showed up. I called friends that knew me as a young teenager without the hijab. I called my friends who were not Muslim. I called and shock everybody. Nima, you, everybody, every single one of them from back in school, they're like, no, not you. I said, I need this now, and they showed up. So sometimes the community, and we've all grown apart. We've gone to different places. Some of them are all over the world. And I was like, this is what I need, and I want it close circled. And everybody was like, what do you need? They showed up. So
fantastic. So unfortunately, we didn't get any more calls, but I think we have to wrap up on this. It was just a way to start off the year. Yesterday, we had two big guests, but today we just wanted to hear from you, your plans. Unfortunately, we couldn't get any calls in, but we need to move on to another very important topic, which is hot. We got news that a medical doctor was murdered as a result of a patient who died, and was killed by the relative of the patient. This is an important topic because it brings up different angles, but we'll discuss this after this break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So the Nigerian Medical Association has condemned the gruesome murder of one of its members, Dr. Uyi Iluobe, who was said to have been killed by relatives of his patient at a hospital in Oghara, Delta State. According to reports, the Medical Association had received this shocking news that this member was killed by the patient. According to them, the response, the patient relatives of the above scenario being the response of the patient relatives to the loss of a patient from the suspected gunshot injuries can never be justifiable. and has taken violence against doctors and other healthcare workers from injuries to murder. So obviously, this relative, this person that died as a result of a gunshot wound. And after that happened, his relatives, maybe they weren't satisfied with the kind of treatment and healthcare he received, and then they took on the doctor and murdered him. They said that this is unbelievable. That's in the face of the debilitating medical brain drain the country is going through. A few patriotic doctors that are staying back are being murdered and killed by the same Nigerians they're trying to save. Now, this is worth talking about because many of us in Nigeria have faced this situation where we are angry. We feel that our loved ones are not getting the care they deserve. We feel that the medical system is not up to standard. And many of us have lost loved ones as a result of medical negligence. So some of us have taken the way of the due process. Let us get them arrested. Others have just left it to God. But these ones in the third category are taking laws into their own hands and killing the doctor. What are your thoughts? How do we address this issue? You can call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-7694. You can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your view TVC so we can read your tweets. When children are kidnapped, Nima, we tell our president to please send soldiers to schools, send soldiers to communities. They are kidnapping our people. Now, doctors have been murdered. Do we send them to send soldiers now to hospitals to protect the doctors?
This is such a complex... We talk to ourselves. It's a complex matter. It's so complex in the sense that there's no way to regulate. You know, in hospitals those days, they'll take your child and tell you, wait outside. So that your impatience, your madness, and your restlessness waits with you while they are able to handle your child. Then if something goes wrong, maybe a complication happens, you say, no, they took my child, I didn't see what happened. Now they say, come and see. You still cannot be calm. When I was in the hospital, there was a situation that happened in my presence. The doctor was handling a child, and then he wrote a drug to be bought. But the system is that you have to get that drug, pay for it, go to account, pay for it, and generate, you even generate the bill, then go to, from pharmacy, generate the bill, then go to account, pay, then bring back to pharmacy to pick up the drug. And he needed to use the drug immediately. So when he wrote it for the mom, he wanted to give her, and then he remembered the system. He took it from her and went straight to pharmacy. But as he was running out, she drags him, pow, in the face. Why are you leaving my child? Why are you leaving my child? And this, she if he had beaten her, what's it called? Health Service Commission will come inside. Everybody else will come inside.
Enemy.
They will say, man beat woman. But she just slapped him, point blank in the face. And the doctor was like, oh, I'm coming back. He went on, bought the drug, administered immediately to the child, stabilized the child. And then the husband came. She's a woman. The women are like that. I think this woman have a proper apology for these doctors. A doctor was on call for 24 hours. And when he went into the call room to rest, cold in the morning, janaza the next morning, they are overworked, they're humans too. And if I didn't stay there, maybe me too, I would not understand. But I saw how they were overworked. And sometimes I had to cover schedules that they could do, especially on weekends. And then we come in and we're just screaming. I've been waiting since. Whatever you're dealing with, the other person too is dealing with his own. So we need to talk to ourselves. Yeah. This family now brought a gunshot wound victim. Probably somebody hemorrhaging already, maybe don't even, maybe he did his best, but he will never be able to tell
maybe he didn't. So there are different cases. So there are places where he didn't. But does that justify?
No, there are civil systems. Yeah. If he didn't, get an autopsy. Check whether he did not. Yeah. Maybe he abandoned the body to the hospital. There are other ways. But you just killed him and we'll never know.
I really wanted to... I share that sentiment that maybe he didn't, because if we heard the story of Bolanle Rahim, she was taken to 2 hospitals. She was still alive. She was taken to 2 hospitals that couldn't treat the gunshot wound. By the time they got to the 3rd hospital, general hospital, she had gone. So imagine one gunshot wound, gunshot injuries are not as deadly as it is in Nigeria. Yes, gunshot wounds are deadly, but the issue of death is mainly due to the fact that they don't get quick care. Our doctors are not willing to. Our doctors are probably, their hands are tied as well. Sometimes I'm scared, are they even equipped to? That's a different gunpowder, like it's a totally different situation. But we are a violent people.
Simple.
and a bunch of unruly people, the majority of Nigerians. This happens everywhere. It is sad that they would bring it to doctors. I've been in a situation where I was in the airport and our flight got cancelled, and other people started destroying properties within the airport. I'm wondering, they beat up a police officer who was trying to tell them, don't destroy the properties. This is another person's.
Yes.
This is not the right way to react. Yeah. And they beat up the police officer. So it is our response of violence to anything that we are uncomfortable with. A lot of us, not everybody. And it needs to stop. And the only way to stop is if justice is meted out to the people that carry out those violence. Exactly. You can't say there's mob action and you cannot arrest the mob. You cannot find anybody to hold accountable. Yeah. You cannot say because 3 people beat the person up and the person died, you will not arrest the 3 people. Because until people they know that actions like this cannot go. Then we will stop. Justice system needs to work. That for me is the biggest. And I feel so sad for this doctor and many other doctors who did not die but have been beaten. Yeah. The ones that have been slapped and pushed and injured just because they are trying to do their job.
Let me tell you, your thoughts on this.
And then, you know, you would look at something like this and think it's a one-off. But then I'm seeing conversations underneath where people are saying it is becoming like a thing, you know. So it comes from insulting the doctor first or a nurse first, and next thing, or beating up the doctor or the nurse or just any healthcare worker and getting away with it. And it comes to the point where now kidnapping is happening. Someone talked about a Dr. Precious who was kidnapped and eventually, you know, lost their life. And if nothing is done consistently, then it will become a pattern. Then it will become the part where maybe our doctors will now have to start wearing bulletproof to do their work, and then they'll have us standing behind like a
shield,
a burglary proof to protect them from us. A lot of this behavior starts from the home, from how we do things in little things, you know, in our little spaces, where you're encouraging people to just be rude to anyone, to talk to anyone. They grow up to be adults that think that they can take decisions into their hands, they can be violent and get away with it. There's a social media palace now, like violence, violence. It's become a thing that we are proud of. I so violently responded to this person. I did not even care. So, you know, I gave it to them. It gets from I gave it to them by word.
Savage.
Yeah, we celebrate savages. We celebrate just being rude and being disruptive. And then we come to a situation like this. Now it's 2-0. You have lost the patient, and now you have to face a murder charge for doing, what you could have taken time to feel, taking your time away from that, and over time, healing will come. But after talking about that, we also need to be honest about the way the system is run in our country. There have been situations where there have been negligence, particular doctors or particular hospital or just the system. And many people on the other side feel they haven't gotten any form of justice. Yeah. And so people are feeling that, you know what, I need to take justice into my hands. So when people insist on the right way for things to be done, it is not pitting one side against the other. Yeah. It's because it helps everyone. Yeah. It also protects the hospitals, where a hospital will be accused of negligence. If there's a proper system that's able to check through the system to make to just make sure that I'm looking for the right word.
Standard, or?
Just to vet the process that may have happened. Good. No, vet even the process. If you come and say, oh, I lost a patient and I think that the hospital was negligent. Yeah. And we're saying that make sure that that system is something that we have in Nigeria. And the hospitals are thinking that, no, this is a way to just witch hunt us. But it isn't, because it also gives you an opportunity, if a vetting process is done, to say, no, this hospital wasn't negligent, or this doctor wasn't negligent, it just happened that this would happen. So you get justice on both sides. Let Nigerians not feel that every time something wrong happens, there's nowhere that they can turn to get justice. On the healthcare side and on the patient side, it's important to just,
Right. Okay, so I lost that call, but I was going to talk about the fact that there's a mistrust and distrust for public servants across board. So everybody's angry, not just at the doctors, at police officers, law last-summer officials, everybody's all angry. So I have a story of a young man who obviously doesn't know much about Nigeria. He lives abroad. He's in his 20s, I think it was 20, I can't remember his age, in his early 20s. So he hears all this bad news about Nigeria. Nigeria is horrible. So he comes into the country, and he got stopped by the police for whatever reason. And the anger, what he's learned about Nigeria was what he used to respond to the police. In anger, he was disrespectful to the police, insulting them that they have no right to stop him, you know. And it was that affront that caused the reaction that he got from the police. Now, I didn't know much about what happened afterwards, but you could see there was anger. He wasn't calm enough to listen to why he was stopped, what was the reason, and give them what they needed. But he was too angry. So it's the same behavior that you automatically say, the police stopped me because I'm a young person. I'm being stopped, and this doctor has no idea what he's doing. Call my brother that is in America to come and tell you what to do. You know, we are constantly on the offense to all public servants, both doctors, lawyers, police officers, firefighters. We know better than them. So no matter what they do to us or help us, we don't listen.
So let's say we have it all upside down, the way we see these things. So a firefighter truck is trying to get to a scene, and hoodlums are blocking him because they are busy stealing. And then in the morning, they'll say, they came late. Sometimes firefighters come late. They have their issues. But the times that we stop them, that we block their entrance, we don't talk about it enough. I saw a firefighter truck driving on the way. People were not clearing for it. We were stuck in traffic on their Papa Oroshoki. The next day, a bullion van and one executive person was going to the airport. They clear. They clear because somebody was holding a gun and standing out on the truck. But the firefighter that did not have gun, should they start carrying gun before we clear for them? Because he was trying to respond to an emergency. And then he gets there late. The other people who received him on the other day are like, is this the time you should come? We've called you since how many hours ago? You did not respond quickly. So these are complex things. That's why I say we need to talk to ourselves. I agree with Tokwe and Miriam that the family that killed this doctor can be found. The death of their brother is another matter. But the death of the doctor, for the justice for his family, is an entirely another matter. It's a clear case of murder. No matter the provocation that they had, they clearly murdered this doctor, and that's a different matter.
I remember last year, remember I was in an accident that an ambulance was rushing and decided to overturn itself over my own car.
Exactly.
You remember?
And
it was an empty ambulance.
I remember you told, I want you to take that story because let me take Barrister Lovett. I'll come back to them. Oh, we lost that call. I'm sorry. Because I want you to reiterate what happened that day. Because that's another example of how we don't trust the system.
Yeah, so it was an empty ambulance. It was rushing. There was traffic, and it had the thing on. And he drove right over my car and turned. You know, God was just saved my life. And we asked him, where are you going? There's no one in the car. That's why Lagosians don't stop for ambulance. Because I used to always say to my driver, I don't care whether there's anyone or not. As long as, you know, and you say, madam, these people, that's how they are. There's no one in. And that incident just confirmed to me there was no one in that ambulance. You know, we ended up at the office. Do you know the way they insulted me and my driver for daring to even come to that office? Well, I was like, who is the manager of this place? Madam, don't talk to me. I just could not be like, I wanted you to handle it. But you know how, you appeal to, the driver himself came and was begging, he would cost his job, he would do this. And I remember thinking, I'm always on this show and saying, we must make sure that the right thing is done. And here I'm looking at a Nigerian, I can see the state of, the affairs, how things are for him. And I know that this will be taking the job from him. But it's just the way Nigerians feel that we don't respect each other. Well, we lie to each other. And so a Nigerian would feel that, a doctor didn't do their job. And so if the doctor did not do their job, they're not going to get justice from anyone. They need to make sure that they mete out the justice themselves.
Let me take Oyi. Oyi has been calling from Iju Shaga. Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, Oyi.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Thank you for the fantastic job you're doing.
Thank you.
My contribution is this. We all have different things that we've gone through, and I can see different examples from ladies and all of that. But the truth is, we are in a country whereby justice is not being done. People get to just do whatever they want to do. You then wanted to give different examples of unruly ways that we Nigerians are very, very negative, and the way we just do violence and everything. We would not leave these people. I think we need a country whereby when you do something, you should be held responsible for. You should be dealt with. It serves an example for others. this ambulance thing and happens to me, you'll be thinking people are, somebody is inside and everybody will play. Nobody's actually there. We're unruly people generally. You go to schools and you see a parent slap a teacher. Oh my God, and we are trying to train children to be better. Several places, you go to an issue and people are just unruly, people shout anyhow. When a country where you just do anything and everybody does whatever they want to do. But when we don't have a system that works, when you are held accountable for what you do. Exactly. When we don't have a system for every step, everybody gets to pay for what they do. If you're a nurse and you don't attend to your patient very well in the way you're supposed to, so there should be a rule or something, like body that sanctions you.
Thank you, Uyi. Thank you, Uyi, because I always... Thank you very much, Uyi. I always ask this question. Do we really want a nation? Like, we have to ask ourselves, because sometimes I feel all of us just get a visa and leave this country and go and find the country we want to live in, because there's no need for a Nigeria. But it's easy to say that because we have the means. All of those, hang in there, all of those that don't have the means. Because if you don't like Nigeria for yourself, at least like it for that poor man that doesn't have any means to live. Appreciate Nigeria. No, I'm getting somewhere. Because every little thing that happens, for example, NDLA accosted these barons, wanted to burn up this thing, and Nigerians were saying on Twitter, no, rubbish, it's like they've taken half of it. You know, we keep insulting people who are sacrificing their lives, their family, their time to serve. The same thing happens. Even I was watching a movie with my mama over the weekend, and I was not just mama, a whole bunch of Nigerians, and I was upset about the narrative the movie was pushing. And I was seeing how everybody was just supporting, because a young girl was married to a husband, and her husband was beaten at domestic violence. And then she had a friend who told her, listen, take this guy to court, go and call them at Lagos State government, you know. And I was thinking, oh, fantastic. They were saying, how would she take her husband to court? What nonsense? People talking in my house. And the lady now found out that the girlfriend, her friend who told her,
was now seeing...
was having her own, you know, that narrative that just makes you... So the lawyer who was trying to defend her was upset that I've taken this case far. Now you want to drop the case because I wouldn't help the next woman. I was doing it pro bono for you. And they no, you want to disturb my marriage. You want to stop my marriage. I mean, the guy was beating you up. So it's the same thing that people don't trust the system. Because I would serve you as a pro bono lawyer because I feel that, oh, this will happen to you. But when I see that, I won't even touch it again. Yeah. So it's the same. Do we want a nation?
So, you know, at the end of the day, it will seem like we're talking about leadership, but I think it's self-leadership. It's not really about anything from the top. It's about us taking responsibility. Everybody taking responsibility. If I see a mob action, I will quickly call the police, tell everybody, no, let's not let this happen. If you see someone in the hospital about to, like that person that's going to slap, everybody will just put their mouth together and say, how can you do that kind of thing? Like collective shaming of bad character. Behavior. You know, when we see a bad behavior, we collectively shame it. We call it out. We name it. This is bad behavior. Don't do this kind of thing. Don't destroy our property. And everybody must be in that space of we own this thing together. The doctors are making a huge sacrifice at every time doing their own work, and we should respect them.
Let me take this call from Barrister Lovetta, called back. Good morning, Barrister Lovetta. Are you there from Delta State?
Yeah, good morning, everybody.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
I'm calling from Warri. Nice speaking to you guys all. I would like to say it's not good to make injustice on people. But the truth is, in our general hospitals, in our government hospitals, the doctors, the nurses, the healthcare workers, they are so insensitive. In fact, the way they talk to patients at times it's painful. I'm not surprised this happened. It's just unfortunate. But they are so insensitive. They don't care. They just speak. In fact, you would prefer to die than even being there. So I'm really sorry for what happened, but they are not being fair to people. The doctors, the nurses, and the healthcare workers. That's what I've got to say.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Barrister. So now, let us look at it the way. You have the worst doctor. Let us not assume the doctor is bad. Let's assume he actually was negligent. He left that person to bleed to death. In that situation, then what is the... how do you confront that kind of issue? I told you my mother died of cancer last year, and I've never been able to talk the story because I'm still processing it. I mean, because when I heard somebody who had the same condition as my mom, and the kind of care the person got, and I'm thinking to myself, did she get the best care? Was I given the right advice? Was I told the right things? You know, people kept telling me, oh, she has 18 months, you know, and I was thinking, okay, we have long term, you know, but the truth is that she didn't. Because somebody in that condition said, wow, this person was obviously clear. Like she only had a few months to leave. Somebody should have told me that. I'm thinking I have still 2 years, I'm almost 2 years, so we're still planning ahead. So it's the same thing. I was angry, I was hurt, I just felt that I was misled. Would I use that to now go and start criticizing or I'll kill the doctor for what he did, or there are different things. So if in the case where the doctors are negligent, what should the relative do?
Let's even inform ourselves. So within states, I know for Lagos, I don't know how Delta is structured. There's a Health Service Commission whose number, I remember the MDA at the time I was pregnant in 2016, he had his number plastered in all the wards, the number to report, So you will just, once the doctors or the nurses are giving you attitude, once you pick your phone, they know that you are sending a message. He shows up unexpectedly on Sunday saying, I got a message of an abuse, and he will most likely meet the situation on ground. So there are regulatory bodies in the state that brings, even the one we talked about, the hospital, when I called out to the hospital here, the next day, everything was put in place. So there are regulatory bodies that, there's businesses to supervise and oversee the activities of these people. Just as the same with the police. Most of us, we don't talk about it enough. Most of the reported cases of police abuses that happened the whole of last year, there were sacks, there were prosecution, there were imprisonments, there were people who were laid off, some people suspended, some people demoted. I took it in the papers. And so the bodies work. But Nigerians, do we really have the patience to report it? We want to do it immediately. Violence, like Miriam said, do it immediately by yourself. Nobody has the patience to follow it through. Maybe you're looking at it one way or the other. Right. And there are other ways too, and we must have patience in the face of trial. We must be able to think in the face of trial. When I had to, evacuate my baby alive and lost that baby, there were so many things going on in my head. Okay. But you need to calm. You need to calm down.
Let me take this call, then we have to wrap up on this. Good morning. Are you there?
Yeah, good morning, Mario.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, well, I think I love your program. I follow you all the day. Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you, Madika.
We Nigerians start taking responsibility of anything happening in that country. Because the character of the doctor or character of the patient is a product of our family and product of our church and the mosque. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello? Yeah, so now we should start taking responsibility for what is happening in every area of our life. If we complain about the police is the product of our family, one by one. The doctor is product of our family. So we parents should go back and start having training, having moral, having the way we behave. Let's assume, if I have to send one WhatsApp picture for you from somebody from China, they have the way they behave. But we Nigerians, we don't have the way we behave. Everybody is right, and everyone sees it his own way.
Thank you very much. How we behave. Absolutely. We have to wrap up on this, but I mean, this is a conversation we need to, because we just got a press release from MNA this morning. We'd like to see where it goes from there, what happens if there's a response from the family, if this case haven't taken it to court. But we just have to start the conversation, because many of us face these things and we never know how to.
And I'm happy that we started the conversation to put a spotlight on it and put it on the minds of people. So it's front and center, really. And then let us be able to also watch the process that takes place with this. And eventually, I pray that, proper justice is given. But then, more importantly, it will be a lesson learned for all of us on how to deal with situations like this, for our government and the systems that we put in place for people to get justice, and also, for us as human beings and how we're raising our children, how we're interacting with each other on the best way in tough situations to get our messages across without resorting to violence and disrupting the system.
I think we can end with that. And also justice to the gun victim. He must have died. We don't know what happened, the conditions in which he died, but he also deserves justice. And I know his family feels that they're giving him justice by killing the doctor that was in charge of him, but the truth is that we don't know what could have happened, and we hope that some kind of autopsy can give us an insight into what really transpired, and then real justice is therefore served. Okay, that's all we can take on this. So we're going to link it out. We have a next guest who's a doctor and is the Chief Medical Director of Civil Life Mission Hospital. He'll be shedding some light on how we can better improve our healthcare facilities. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Joining us on the show now is the Chief Medical Director of Save a Life Mission Hospital, Dr. Richard Uyi. He'll be speaking on how the country can revamp its ailing primary healthcare sector, which means it's supposed to be the first contact for millions of Nigerians seeking medical attention. You can join the conversation on 08127053687, 09139076948. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your TVC so we can read your tweets. Welcome, Dr. Uyi, to our show.
Thank you, Maria. My pleasure.
Coincidentally, we're talking about healthcare before you came in, and maybe you can add one or two things, especially when a gunshot would happen. You know, what I was talking about is it's one of those things that you can easily say somewhere that when you stop the bleeding, but here we just, many people, by the time they get to the hospital, the doctors lose them. Are there things that we can put in place to stop the fatality of gunshot wounds in Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Basically, I will say that I heard you when you were actually analyzing the whole issue. But the fundamental thing is that it's a product of a collapsed healthcare system. You know, because if you get to hear the story where they took the patient to the first hospital, second hospital, before getting to the one that the doctor actually attended to, the scenario is quite, you know, something understandable, something being seen in most hospital establishments, whereby the doctor may be handicapped. Maybe the patient is bleeding, there's no blood available in the blood bank. And also, there may be no suture, even to be in position to suture the case. So the doctor will be there, and the family may see the doctor as being negligent. You understand? So the anger of whatever must have transpired in the failed system. And unfortunately, we see the doctor being a victim of a failed system, not necessarily something one would say that the doctor may have done. It's a collapse of the system, which is, you know, a picture of what we're going to talk about today in the aspect of the primary health care.
I cannot even imagine that a patient will get to the hospital and will be having a situation of there's no blood, which is why they cannot rescue them. Because, and sometimes it is important that we have this conversation so that the average Nigerian on the street understands the kind of situation the doctors are dealing with as well. Because I'm listening to you and I'm wondering, how can a doctor work when you say there's no suture? How can a doctor work when you say there is no blood? What kind of magic do you expect such a doctor to perform? And how would the family react? Because the only person they are seeing at that moment is the doctor. So it's not a case of there's no blood. It's a case of you are killing my loved one. And who's the person to address this situation?
If you look at this very issue right now, you look at it from a perspective of what could be said to be a vindication for Melinda Gates. You remember in 2020, March 2020, following the invasion of COVID, she actually said that dead bodies will litter the street of Africa. The dead body will litter the street of Africa, and people took it on her. I said, no, you are talking but this is a woman that has been involved in the issue of prevention of healthcare and management and continuing on some of these endemic illnesses, which he was talking based on statistics. As it stands today, I'm talking as a doctor. I've been in teaching hospital experience, private hospital experience, and also the other aspect of advocacy and all that. It discovered that a scenario where there's no doctor in most of the communities we have. You know, if you get to some of the northern communities, you may not see a single hospital in the entire community. Most of the communities in the north, it's just these boys from Igbo boys that go there to sell drugs that they will be calling their own doctor when they open up a chemist. So you look at that particular scenario, what is the preparedness of the the country, healthcare system. The doctors are not there, the doctors are flying, and now the ones that are even available are also being victim
let's
of
talk about primary health care for a second, because I know that that's one of the areas that's of your concern. How do we improve primary health care in Nigeria? What are the things we can do to support the doctors in these facilities?
Yeah, you know, it is a two-way. That's why I'm trying to bring out the statistics. Number one is that if you look at the population of the nation, children and mothers account for 71% of the population, statistically given in developing countries. And they are the one also that determine the health statistics or the health status, because they are more victim of mobility and vulnerable to mobility and mortality, all right? So on that particular call, it becomes important that we look at Nigerian life expectancy, today being 55.2, as against global average of 72. So the fundamental problem is that the doctors are not available, even in the state of where the facility is there. There's also no equipment or nothing to be able just to help these people. So, but we now be in position to look at this very study and discover that the fundamental cause of healthcare problem globally and now worse in the aspect of Nigeria is the issue that the medical information is not available. The first solution to the problem is education. Let people even get to know what to do, even where there is no doctor. Do you understand me? But in a situation where the doctors also speak the language the common man will not understand, I see the healthcare challenge worse in this side of the world, where the doctors don't actually communicate to the patient adequately. It came from the fact that our fathers of medicine came up with coded medical terminology. If I'm a doctor right now, instead of telling you you have malaria, I may tell you you have plasmodiasis. Do you understand me? So, and I will write some prescription, 52 BD, 5/52. So confusion is all over the whole place. So that is the fundamental why primary health care is still a very major problem, whereby even when the things are there, people don't know what to do. So what we did in the aspect of trying to address this is to be in position to decode the medical terminologies in a way that a common man should be able to access it. So I developed what they call Dr. Save a Life in US in such a manner that let these things serve for the people as in their own language. Like if you have a system now, I did it and it's available in such a way that if it is fever, it will ask you, do you have fever? It will ask you, how hot is your body? In that language of the people. So by so doing, we make, number one, the healthcare information available to the people, and then taking it off from there. We also put us on devices that even on a long term, whereby even if a patient in a village, if you put a stethoscope, we develop the algorithm. It's a digital stethoscope. Put it in a patient in the village. A doctor in the city, even in the US, can be able to hear the heartbeat. So with that, we have been able to use a kind of a telemedicine that could be able to help out a number of people.
All right, let me get a few more questions.
Okay, wow. So I'm hearing no suture, no this, no that in a hospital setting. How is that possible? Who is supposed, because government is not in the hospital. The hospital has its own system of administration. Who is in a medical system supposed to head and provide and ensure that there are facilities or medical supplies within the hospital? And why would that person fail? If he fails, what should happen to that person in that system?
Okay, let's first of all look at the Nigerian health budget, which is quite a fundamental area to look at. If you look at since 2000, in 2001, there was a gathering of the whole head of states. And they declared that the 15% of the health budget should go, of the budget should go to healthcare. Unfortunately, since then, we have been able to do only 5.9 in 2012, which I look at it as a higher based on the value of Naira as of that time. So, but that issue of budgeting in the area of healthcare has been very, very limited. You know, I look at it from the angle that since 2000, like a 20-year span, Nigeria has been able to do a total health budget of 3,392,876,111,676. And if you look at that, divide it across the 20 years and take it to an individual budget for Nigeria, you will be getting something in the neighborhood of 1,060 naira per person per year. Whereas in the United States, you have about $17,000 for an individual budget. So when there is inadequacy of funding, obviously it will be in position to be a problem. And second aspect of it is the empathy. If the empathy is not there, now all of us here now, by reason of privilege, we can comfortably travel abroad if we have a very serious health need. Do you understand? But we have about 130 million Nigerians living in poverty. So if we be the leader and have the empathy that if I were in the shoe of these people, it will help even our federal government, the government both now and the one to come, to be able to do a proper budgeting. That look, this is, even if yeah, I'm comfortable, I also have people in the villages that could be able to be victim of this healthcare-related problem.
Let me go on a break, because I know you wanted to touch on this, this concept of being able to treat anybody from anywhere in the world. Let me go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So Mariam had a question. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I was, interested in knowing exactly what our expectations for primary health care should be. And sometimes with the way things are just done in Nigeria, I feel that we don't know exactly what we should be expecting from primary health care and then the tertiary health care. And in your opinion, do you think we're doing better? I know things are not great in Nigeria, but can we look at how things used to be and today and say maybe we have improved, or do you think we're just getting worse?
Yeah, if you look at the Vanguard publication, the Vanguard publication actually made it very clear that there's a collapse of the healthcare system across board. And the collapse, the primary healthcare is actually meant to solve some of those fundamental problems. Malaria, you have to talk about malaria, you have to talk about some other things. However, where intervention need to be, like a case of appendicitis or in case of ectopic pregnancy for a pregnant woman, those people now can be moved to another level, you call it secondary healthcare. And in that particular secondary healthcare, you will not be in position to operate them there. But for those ones of multi-specialty required, then that can be moved to the tertiary institution. But unfortunately, that fundamental thing that is designed to be able to cater for the immediate minor health need of the people, unfortunately, that system is not working because it's supposed to have at least a nurse, like in a number of occasions, a doctor may cover. But today, most of the rural communities don't have access to healthcare because the doctors are not there. This insecurity situation is worsening the whole.
So let me be sure I understand you very clearly. Are you saying that, based on what you said earlier, that if you're in a village, for example, if you have whatever it is that you have, this stethoscope, so even if we have doctors in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, in Abuja, they can support those in the villages with this machine. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Okay.
What we actually try to do, because since these people are not available for these people, and more population are in the rural communities. So what we did is that we developed a system called My Home Clinic, which can a patient in the village, anybody knowing how to use even WhatsApp and all that, can clock these very patients. in the language of the people, not in the doctors, you know, like if I say dysuria, it could be a painful, you're having a painful urination. So in the language, having done that, once it is done, you submit it. It gets to any doctor connected to that particular application anywhere in the world. So that's why today we are not in any way afraid of, oh, doctors are leaving the country. There is a solution available. And most doctors, even abroad, could be volunteer to be part of that. And because of the telemedicine has been there all this while. But when it has to do with telemedicine, a doctor has to call the patient that's maybe in the village, how are you doing? And the communication between a doctor and the people are not the same way. The patient may be telling stories. The doctor don't want those stories. So in order to avoid that, let the patient clark themselves, send this information to that very system. The doctor look at it. And because telemedicine have that very barrier, what epitomizes a medical doctor is that you have to check the heart, you have to check the lungs. So now we design that very system in a manner that while in the village, just leave that stethoscope, put it over there. The doctor can listen and say, oh, there is a crepitation, there is a bronchopneumonia, tuberculosis, and all that. Or that a problem that the heart may have a problem. Do you understand? So it gives the doctor the comprehensive ability to review this very patient and can send up medication. So we design that if you be the community chemist, those people can go there, take the drug, and still review the way they feel to the doctor. By so doing, universal health coverage will require a quality health care, affordable and accessible, can now be made possible. So with that particular engagement, even the BP apparatus, as they check their BP in the village, it gets into the system. The doctor can look at it. Okay, say there's a patient in this particular...
Does this rely on data?
Or network, internet connection.
Yes, to be able to achieve the internet connectivity, you know. I did a study in US where concerning the survival of a number of hospitals over 100 years. That Pennsylvania Hospital is over 1751, which is over 200 and something. How did it happen? Well, in the course of the study, I bumped into that some of the hospitals in US also, and particularly in the aspect of the United States, they've been most states shut down because of COVID and also some other issues. So, and I say this could be likened to what happened also in our villages where everybody is in the city. Nobody is there to take care of them. So I came out with what to use radio frequency to do. So when I came back, I go to my hospital. I have a big bandwidth in my hospital. So I did a radio frequency synchronization. Today in my house, I don't need internet there. Once I walk in from my hospital to my house, the same internet that work in my hospital work also in my house. And I say, come on, this also could be in position to get, since radio frequency can travel up to 100 kilometers, microwave can travel more. So I put up a mass. And with that particular mass, connecting it again to a village, I could be able to have an internet in that particular setup where there is no internet.
So you are providing a solution. Actually.
Yes, I'm providing the
problem and
ecosystem for the solution to work.
That's
so
interesting.
Very, very interesting. And I'm sure that you already know the problems you are facing. Is it something that you've already tried implementing by yourself right now? Or is it something that you feel that you will need the intervention of local authorities, local government, the governor, and all of that to...
Interesting. The fact is that if not because of this is an invitation, I have already proven we're supposed to have actually been shown, if not because of yes. It's something we have done. I've gone in a number of rural communities. 2018, I designed the first medical app in the whole world that can make a diagnosis on a patient without any doctor saying no to it. It's in 79 countries currently. And I made it free for Nigerians. Unfortunately, because you have to be in position to do a lot of for people to know. It's less than 100,000 downloads. Do you understand? Which are supposed to be something that if somebody had an app, it can even give you opportunity that what happened to this very patient that died now.
Yes.
If they have that application, just click on I have an emergency. It will show you the location of hospital 1.5 kilometers where you are. then they would have called the first hospital. Please, we have a patient on gunshot. And this very patient is bleeding. Do you have blood bank? Do you have doctor? Do you have
Even
this one?
before you
He said,
set
no,
off.
we don't have. You don't have to now take that very precious time to go there and then move into there. When you get there, you will see the address of these hospitals. You will see their phone numbers.
Have you given this into the government? I mean, this is something that should be scaled to that level.
Exactly. You know, if you look at universal health coverage advocacy, it discovered that it is actually stated that in the chapter 1, subsection 2 of it, it said there should be a spotlighting of some of this good development in that ensuring that the healthcare make available for all. But of course, I remember a case where I launched this, and somebody now said, when I said, please, can you put up the, he said that Dr. Uyi has money, he has to pay. Yes, how much will I be able to pay
everyone
to be able to make this thing to reach, even when it is free for all?
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up now, but thank you, Dr. Uyi. You're obviously doing quite a lot. I just hope you get the support you need, because the truth is that this is something that is needed. You keep complaining of people jackpying, doctors leaving, but they are Nigerians providing Nigerian solutions to Nigerian problems. We must encourage them. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing this with us. That's all we can take on today's show. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.